Սիրելի բարեկամներ եւ հյուրեր, ինձ համար այսօր մեծ գոհունակություն է ցեզի ողջունել Նյու Յորքի մեջ։ Կարծեմ այս հանգամանքով ծեր առաջին այցելությունն է Նյու Յորք։ Նախ ցեզի գմախտենք հաջողություն։ Գմախտենք հաջողություն ոչ միայն այս այցելության, այլ ծեր նոր առաքելության մեջ իբր առաջին փոխվարչապետ։ Նույն սևով կուզենք փոխանցել բարոն վարչապետին մեր մաղթանքները իրեն կառավարության հաջողության գործունեության մեջ։ Ինչպես ցեզի ծանոթ է հայկական բարեգործական ընկերությունը, որ այսօր ավելի գրանցվի AGBU-ով, այս AGBU-ն այլևս ոչ անգլերեն, ոչ ֆրանսերեն, ոչ հայերեն լոգոն է, բայց AGBU։ Ինչպես գիտեք, միությունն է, որ 112 տարի վեր իր հիմնադրության առաջին օրերը սկսյալ իր հիմնական գաղափարը եղած է եւ դեսլականը եղած է թիգուն կանգնել հայ ժողովրդին, հայրենիքին եւ հայ եկեղեցին։ Քանի որ համոզված ենք, որ առանց հայրենիքի հայությունը ապակա չի գնալ։
Important to Armenians as a people, which is why some of you may be surprised to know partner with the government in this SDG lab, and that says a lot about our nation. Or can we be truly a viable nation on the global scene? So that's something we've been working on advancing. So I do want to just point to the whole presentation on this, but as many of you know, those 4 pillars had 112 years ago based on social and economic development, socioeconomic development.
And peaceful revolution has become a success story of a whole nation's empowerment. People from the capital to the most remote villages spoke with one voice against social inequality, emigration, systematic corruption, and the lack of justice. Peaceful civil disobedience and mass protests brought down a corrupt regime, paving the way for a democratic, just system of governance and sustainable economic growth. Armenia today is a completely different story from how it was known 3 months ago. Bureaucratic red tape, corruption, and the lack of competition were strong disincentives of sustainable development. The new government has pledged to change the ways things are done and to ensure the integrity, transparency, and accountability characterize our actions. From day one, we have been doing well delivering this promise. We buried in the past the political corruption and the dependence of the judiciary. In New Armenia, the leadership of the country do not have private business interests or seek personal gain and status at the expense of others. Armenian courts are not subject to improper influence or any interference from the executive branch. The former entails highly competitive business environment where entrepreneurs can act according to their rules and internationally accepted standards, while the latter ensures legal protection of property and contractual rights. The government of Armenia recognizes the role that foreign investments play in economic and social development and works to maintain a favorable investment climate with a strong determination to improve it further. The country has a stable legal system. Foreign investors are protected against nationalization. The participation of foreign investors in any economic activity, as well as the percentage of ownership of a local business, does not fall under any restriction. Foreigners are allowed to use land through long-term lease contracts and own structures built on Armenian land. As for legal dispute settlement, it can be realized either by Armenian courts in case the state is a party to the dispute, or arbitration tribunals, or any other bodies resolving economic disputes. Armenia is also a signatory to the 1958 Convention on the Recognition and Enforcement of Foreign Arbitral Awards and International Convention on Investment Disputes. The United States-Armenia Bilateral Investment Treaty provides that if a dispute arises between an American investor and the Republic of Armenia, the investor may choose to seek remedy through binding international arbitration. A framework for intellectual property rights is also in place. The domestic legislation, including the 2006 law on copyright and related rights, provides for the protection of IPR on literary, scientific and artistic works, patents and other rights of invention, industrial design, know-how, trade secrets, trademarks and service marks. The Intellectual Property Agency in the Armenian Ministry of Economy is responsible for granting patents and for overseeing other IPR-related matters. Formal registration is easy and transparent. The database of IPR registrations is public, and applications to register intellectual property are published online for 2 months for comments by third parties. Armenia is an easy country for business purposes. The World Bank's Doing Business 2018 report ranks Armenia 47th among 190 countries in terms of the ease of doing business. I am confident that this ranking will improve further after the revolution in Armenia. Companies can register electronically. This one-stop shop was launched in 2011 and allows individual entrepreneurs and companies to reserve a company name and to obtain business registration and tax identification at a single location and at the same time. Armenia has double taxation treaties with 42 countries and grants various tax privileges and duty exemptions to foreign investors. Those cover, for instance, construction, IT companies, economic activities in border territories, large exporters, and capital investment-related imports. Armenia has 3 free economic zones, Alliance, Meridian, and Maghreb, with a unique opportunity for entrepreneurs to establish businesses in strategic sectors of the economy and to process, produce, and export goods with a reduced tax burden. The law on free economic zones and the tax legislation grant exemptions from corporate profit tax, personal income tax, property taxes, the value-added tax, and customs duty payment obligations to companies operating within the zones. The banking system in Armenia is sound and well regulated. Non-performing loans are less than 10%, which is within acceptable international standards. There are no restrictions for foreigners to open bank accounts. Companies are free to open and maintain bank accounts in foreign currency, and there are no minimum capital requirements. There are no controls on foreign exchange accounts or currency transfers. Armenia functions as a gateway to major markets through its membership in the Eurasian Economic Union. That is a market of 182 million people, as well as free trade agreements with other CIS countries plus Georgia, preferential trade agreements with the European Union, the United States of America, Canada, Japan, Switzerland, and Norway, and its proximity to Iran and the Middle East. Armenia is one of very few countries that have the opportunity to access the improved regime of generalized scheme of preferences with the EU countries. It can trade under GSP Plus on a unilateral basis, which enables exporting over 7,000 types of products to European Union countries under zero-rated or reduced tariffs. Armenia's human capital is one of our strongest resources. The labor force is well educated, particularly those involved in the health, science, technology, engineering, and IT sectors. Armenia is the leading country in the region in terms of tertiary enrollment, which is 47.1%. The country benefits from the presence of multiple international universities, such as the American University of Armenia, the French University, the British School of Business, the American European University, which along with Armenian universities produce highly skilled and cost-effective workforce. Craftsmanship in luxury carpets, jewelry, and diamond processing Wine and brandy making are also areas where Armenians leverage our historical traditions to offer some of the highest quality skilled labor on the globe. All these assets are only a precursor for the next chapter, the one that will bring us closer to our goal of lasting and inclusive growth. And I'm here to invite you to play an even greater role in the years to come. There are many sectors with strong appeal for foreign investment. However, I would like to highlight 3 of them as our main priorities: high-tech, agriculture, and tourism. Armenia has maintained its competitive advantage in technology development as a known hub for software development, industrial computing, electronics, and production of semiconductors. The sector has remained significant in the Armenian economy due to a competitive labor force, its share in GDP, constant growth in the number of companies, and total turnover. The industry's total revenue, which consists of the software and services sector and the internet service provider sector, reached $765 million in 2017, a 37% increase over 2015. About 650 ICT companies are in active operation, and about 80% of them are based in Yerevan. The number of companies operating in other regions of Armenia has increased from year to year due to the development of educational and scientific infrastructure. B. Support and measures to promote access to subsidized credit, the development of agricultural value chains, and the enhancement of the productivity and efficiency of farming are of great importance in the government's to-do list. Steps have already been taken to exercise amnesty for agricultural loan penalties, and particular measures are foreseen to promote the use of unexploited agricultural land. Armenia has a fast-growing food processing sector with 1,600 food-producing companies, an excellent export potential based on ecologically friendly green agro products. The most important products are canned food production and alcoholic beverage production, especially wine and brandy made from locally grown grapes. Greenhouses are expanding, and there is increasing demand for greenhouse technologies, especially for small and medium-sized ones. There are opportunities for manufacturing high-value and organic products, processed and unprocessed fruits and vegetables with modern packaging which comply with international food safety standards. And C. Armenia has huge unrealized potential in the tourism sector. The country has always stood out with rich cultural and architectural heritage, featuring 3 UNESCO World Heritage Sites, medieval monasteries, churches, fortresses, and a uniquely beautiful landscape. Therewith, the revolution has improved the country's image, turning it into a unique asset for nation's branding. This poses a challenge for the new government to implement an effective action plan of infrastructure investment, urban regeneration, cultural heritage restoration, tourism product development, and diversification in order to back up the newly shaped reputation. We plan to attract new carriers and significantly increase the number of flights while reducing prices on more competitive routes. We plan to improve the domestic infrastructure. We plan to target eco, gastro, extreme, and ethno segments of tourism to promote Armenia's competitiveness in international markets. Armenia is open and waiting for you. There is unrealized economic potential which we need to unleash together. The diaspora can be a precious source of not only investments but also know-how and new energy. With that said, there is and will continue to be a level playing field for all investors. We trust that this is the right period for finding innovative and impactful solutions towards achieving our vision of a new Armenia. Our goal is to achieve real changes in Armenia, which will ensure freedom, happiness, and prosperity of our citizens. Ladies and gentlemen, This is what I wanted to share as a first message. If you have questions, I will be happy to answer.
Thank you very much. And good luck.
To be frank, this relationship has not always lived up to its potential and expectations. Mistakes have been made, despite our efforts. Our vision for a new Armenia has